What's going on, everybody? This video is my UFC 196 predictions. It is this Saturday night on pay-per-view, March 5th. Today's the 3rd, so 2 nights away. We get another pretty good UFC pay-per-view card. At least on the main pay-per-view, there are 2 fights I'm really looking forward to. Conor McGregor, his fight, and the women's fight. Holly Holm defending her title. So here we go. The other fights on the pay-per-view I don't really care about. I will only be predicting 2 of them. The Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz fight and Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate. That's the only fights I am predicting because that's the only fights I care to see and care to talk about. The other fights I don't really care about. I am a MMA fan. I am a UFC fan. Have been for over 20 years. I've watched it, but I don't watch every single pay-per-view. I don't know every single fighter. I know way more about pro wrestling, and I know a lot more about pro wrestling than MMA. But I still like MMA, so I'm going to do my UFC 196 2-fight prediction video now. So up first, Miesha Tate getting a title shot in the women's bantamweight division, whatever they call it. I just call it women's division. Holly Holm is a champion. We all know she viciously knocked out Ronda Rousey in November with that lethal kick to the side of her neck. I believe Ronda Rousey suffered a concussion after she lost in that fight. Holly Holm looked really dominant. She looked unstoppable in that fight. Hopefully Ronda gets to come back and face Holly Holm and get her rematch. I think the Ronda Rousey-Holly Holm fight is going to happen in the fall of 2016, maybe in November. I think it's going to go down. And even if Holly Holm is no longer champion, I think we are still going to get a Ronda Rousey-Holly Holm fight, rematch. And it'll probably happen in November or December. It's not going to happen at UFC 200 because Ronda Rousey's schedule is too busy. She's doing movies and she wants to take more time off from before she fights again. But she will fight again in the UFC. Ronda Rousey is not retiring. She will fight again in the octagon. So, for Miesha Tate, she is a challenger. She's a good fighter, and she's also pretty damn attractive. But being attractive has nothing to do with really who's going to win. I'm just saying Miesha Tate, pretty hot chick. Holly Holm, she's pretty attractive also. She has a very cute face, nice face. So, Miesha Tate is a former Strikeforce women's champion in Strikeforce before UFC bought them out, and then they brought Miesha Tate. I guess they brought her contract over to the UFC, or maybe they gave her a new contract in the UFC. Miesha Tate was a former coach on The Ultimate Fighter against Ronda Rousey. On the other team, Ronda Rousey was a coach. Miesha Tate went up against Ronda Rousey twice. I believe twice, and lost twice. But Miesha Tate is a good fighter. I believe she is a good fighter. But my prediction is Holly Holm will win and retain her title. I do not see Holly Holm losing. I don't see any way possible that Holly Holm loses. I think this is her first title defense. I think because I follow MMA. I follow it enough to know I don't think Holly Holm has fought since defeating Ronda Rousey. So, Miesha Tate is a good fighter, but I am going with Holly Holm to win and retain her championship at UFC 196. I can't really predict when it's going to end, in what round, I don't know. I believe championship fights are 5 rounds, 5 minutes each. So, I have no clue when. I mean, how can you predict when these fights will end? Because some of them end in like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, under a minute. How the hell can I predict when it's going to end? I don't know. My guess is Miesha Tate, if she's on her A game and really ready and does good in the round number 1, then Miesha Tate will take it to a second round. But I'll just say in the second round, I think Holly Holm wins because she's a better boxer and she's better at kicks. So Holly Holm will win, my opinion. So I predict Holly Holm. The main event, the final, or not the final fight of the night, but the main event, basically. Conor McGregor defending his UFC title. I don't know what division he's in. I don't know what it's called, and I don't really care. Doesn't really matter. All I know is he's a champion. And he's been a champion, the UFC champion, for a while. Of course, I know Conor McGregor is not the heavyweight champion because that's a whole different division. But Conor McGregor probably right now is the face of the UFC. The guy's a huge, huge star. The guy is money for the UFC. I mean, the guy is super over. If you love him or hate him, he gets a reaction in the UFC, and that's best for UFC business, in my opinion. As long as he's getting a reaction and people are going to pay to either see him get his ass beat or they're going to pay to see him win and kick someone's ass. So Conor McGregor, Dana White found a superstar in Conor McGregor. And CM Punk is still, I guess, training. He had back surgery. And who knows when CM Punk is going to fight. Maybe in the late summer. I don't know when he's going to have his first fight. CM Punk's UFC run, in my opinion, has been a giant failure. Because he's been there for almost 2 years, or a year and a half. 2 years, the guy should have at least fought once already. He should have fought late 2015, but he did not because he was getting injured in training. And then he had back surgery. Probably needed back surgery because it was an old injury from wrestling for all those years. Anyways, CM Punk, the first time he fights, will I be curious enough to watch it and buy the pay-per-view? Probably. I would be lying if I said I didn't really... I'd be lying if I said I didn't really want to see CM Punk fight to see how he does. So I'll probably watch his first fight. But it should have happened last year, a long time ago. Should have happened 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago. So, Conor McGregor defending his title against Nate Diaz, one of the Diaz brothers. Diaz brothers are very, very good fighters. They got a lot of heart. They do not give up. I mean, you can hit these guys, these Diaz brothers. You could, punch them in the face super hard with all your strength, and they keep coming at you. They will keep fighting if they're a bloody mess. They don't care. But I predict that Conor McGregor will win and retain his UFC title. Nate Diaz, I haven't seen him fight in a long time. So I'm sure he'll do decent, and he might get some shots in, Conor McGregor, but I think Conor McGregor will win. Anyways, I got Holly Holm and Conor McGregor winning. And that's the only fights I'm going to talk about because that's the only fights I really care about. and care to watch and care to see on Saturday night at UFC 196 live on pay-per-view. I'll be on Twitter live tweeting it. I'll be live tweeting the entire UFC 196 pay-per-view while I'm watching it. So, hope you enjoyed my UFC 196 prediction. I only did 2 predictions again because these are the only 2 fights I care to see and care to talk about. The other fights, I'm sure could be good, but I don't care to talk about them, and I don't even know who's in them. So there you go. Hope you enjoy my UFC 196 predictions. It's this Saturday, March 5th on pay-per-view. Don't miss it. If you have ever been an MMA fan or watched it, watch UFC 196. I'm sure it'll be well worth it because there's 2 pretty good fights on the show. Follow me on Twitter. I said Saturday night I'll be live tweeting UFC 196. Follow me at TNA WWE Guy. And follow my other account if you want to at NXT WWE Guy. Bye for now.